Welcome to another episode of Binder. My name is S.M. McCoy. I'm an author and narrator of sci-fi, fantasy, adventure romances. I also host this podcast to help indie authors. This binder actually represents blind indie novel dates for entertaining reads. And the reason why I say that is, have you ever wondered what would happen if all you did was listen to someone else read the first chapter of a book and then decide if you wanted to read it? No beautiful cover, no reviews to sway you, just the words on the page being read by a stranger, that stranger usually being me. However, haha, this particular episode of The Binder will be read by my Audible subscription, since this one is available and already narrated. So not only are you capable of just continuing to read the book, but you could go out and get the book on Audible and continue listening to it instead. So we're going to actually listen to another narrator. And I won't tell you any names or anything like that until the end, because that's what blind dates are all about. So who is our blind date with? What do we get to know about this person? Well, we don't get to know about the person, but we do get to know that our blind date is dark fantasy, friends to enemies, forbidden magic, a female MC, and Witcher meets Game of Thrones. Now, doesn't that sound exciting? So let's get started. Let's see here. Where's my sample? I don't have to narrate this. I'm so excited to listen to this. Is it loud?
Chapter 1.
Ooh.
Ebbard fell forward when his binds were cut. Clutching his raw wrists, he crawled to his feet and stepped over a fallen mercenary's body. "Wonderful," he complained in a still trembling voice. "You could have come earlier, you know." His savior brought herself into the light and pulled down her cowl to reveal her olive complexion and slender face. "Are you hurt?" she asked with a smooth accent indicative of her northern roots. With a tug on his doublet, Ebbard proudly straightened his posture and said, "Just fine given the near bashed-in skull. What took you so long? I nearly lost my tongue. I'd never sing again."
I wish
What
I
a
had an
shame
accent.
that would have been, she teased with a smile not well hidden. "Ha, he mocked. "Get on with it, so we can go. I need an apothecary. My head is killing me." She pointed to the door. "Wait there. Gil's coming with herbs and potions." The young woman moved across the room as her friend found himself a stool. She created chaos in the silent night as she kicked over empty crates and rummaged through dresser drawers. She wiped her sword clean on her trousers before sheathing the weapon on her belt loop. The dead mercenary's blood stained her clothes as she stepped to his body and dug through his pocket. Parchment crinkled as she retrieved a scroll from his hide armor. "Is that it?" Ebbard asked. "All this for a note?" She moved to the fire and quickly read the scribbled parchment. With a deep breath, she crumpled the note into her fist and then tossed it into the flames. The firelight brightened and gave a warm glow to the dark room as the paper burned. "Was that it?" Ebbard asked again. She marched away from the hearth and continued her search. "Hardly. That was a bounty. Seems they believe I still have blonde hair and fair skin."
Blonde
"Well,
hair, fair
that's a
skin.
relief. What about your eyes?" Her bright teal eyes turned to the floor. For a moment, sadness overcame her, but it was quickly shaken as the door creaked open. She instantly brandished her blade, and Ebbard nearly fell from his stool.
Oh no.
She ignored his outburst and focused on the door as it gently swung in the breeze. Her gaze shifted to a grey tabby as it entered the room. The small animal whipped its tail through the frosted air. She sheathed her blood-soaked sword with a relieved sigh and then removed a small box and bundle of clothing from her satchel. She relished in the warmth of magic as a gust of hot air and bright light quickly filled the dark room. As the light and warmth faded, Gil, a pint-sized drellid, wearing nothing but his thick body hair, stood in the cat's place. "Gilbrick!" Ebed cheered. "Come to patch me up, have you? Seems Near's got other things to tend to beside the friend who risked his life to find her little trinket."
I can't get over the
Gil
accent. I
thanked
love it.
Near as she passed him his belongings, and he got dressed before pouring herbs into a small mortar. Gil, like all drellids, was a shapeshifter with human-like features. He stood just 3 feet tall, was thinly built with defined muscles, and had a raspy soprano voice. Though he was nearly 300 years old, not a wrinkle creased his smooth skin. The deep scar along his brow, which he had received many years before during a fight against a knight of the order, glowed in the dying firelight. Near had always admired the scar, as it gave him a fierceness not commonly seen in his kind. "Toss another un on top of the flames, would you?" Gil called to Near. She followed his instructions and stoked the fire whilst Gil turned to Ebed. "This'll sting a bit," he explained. Ebed winced as Gil rubbed paste across his wounds. "Smells terrible," the bard griped. "It should," Gil said. "'Tis a mixture of frog shite and herbs." Ebed's brown eyes widened in shock and disgust. The drellid wasted no time administering the ointment, the smell of which grew stronger by the second.
And that's it. That's the sample for this book. Did you like it? I have to admit, I'm digging the accent. I wish I could do that kind of accent, but I'd have to practice some more. But it sounds cool. Sounds like we're getting into it. You got blood-soaked swords. You've got smelly fecal ointment. I like it. So what do you guys think? Is this your next fantastical read? This particular one was narrated by A.J. Jones. I love his narration. I mean, every single person that you listen to, you always have to sometimes get used to a new voice. So sometimes when you start a thing, you're like, oh, I don't know if I like a voice or whatever. But then you start like listening to it for a few minutes and you're like, oh, I do dig it. I can get into this. So you may or may not like the narration. I liked it. The narrator does a great job. But you can always read it free on Kindle Unlimited. It's HC Newell was our indie blind date. It's called Curse of the Fallen, narrated by AJ Jones, if you want to do it on Audible. And it sounds like an adventure. So if you like that, go ahead and check out the show notes for all the links to HC Newell, as well as join their newsletter and grab a free book. I'm not sure if it's this book or not. I can double check, but free book by joining their newsletter. Keep up with the author. Find them wherever they can be found. Check out the links in the show notes. Dark fantasy, friends to enemies, forbidden magic, female MC, Witcher versus Game of Thrones-esque kind of vibes. And if you like Irishy like narration, you can always get the Audible. Let's see. What else was, do I use? Oh yeah. How do I end this? Yeah, I usually just say, please like, follow, subscribe. This is on YouTube, but you know, it's also on all of the places podcasts can be found. So check out and look out for your next date. Continue reading, listening, support indies, subscribe so you don't miss the next date. If this wasn't your jam, there's always another. That's why it's called blind dates. Sometimes you have to go through a few until you find the ones that intrigue you. But No covers, no reviews, just good writing. And see if you want to find out more. Thank you for listening. My name is Stevie, and this has been a blind indie novel date to find your next fantastical read. Oh, where did I get this button?